All right, welcome everyone to this July 23rd, 2025, and this another Sky Community Call. Um, Today we'll have, instead of having Rajiv from the Viridian team, we'll have Felipe, and he'll be actually discussing the weather forecast after the main section, which will be covered by Hexanaut and Nadia from Phoenix Labs. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, as always, feel free to drop them in the chat and we can cover them as much as you want. Yeah, thank you, Sam, for being here. I guess we can start with the most obvious one, like I guess what Spark. It doesn't need too much of an introduction, but what are you guys working on, and what are your plans for the near future?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having us, Juan. Um, so yeah, what is Spark? Spark is the first star in the Sky ecosystem, which is really just starting to get going now. So Spark, I mean, it was running interim since like 2023, but now Spark has been fully put out on its own, and along with Grove as the second star to be launched. Yeah, it's been great, kind of bootstrapping this whole system, and we're really seeing it start to kick into high gear now, which is quite exciting. So what we're focused on in the short term is covering all the markets that we haven't been covering under Maker historically. So a lot of the borrowers that we're recovering were users who were on chain on Ethereum, but there are many other types of crypto borrowers out there across many different venues. And so the big focus of the Spark liquidity layer, which is the allocation system that's connected to Sky's balance sheet, has been covering these markets. And now new markets that we've added over the past 6 months that we weren't covering before. For a good example of this is the Coinbase Bitcoin Borrow product, which launched in January, which Coinbase is exposing their users to this Bitcoin Borrow product, which plugs in to Morpho on Base, which then gets USDC supplied to it. So with the Spark liquidity layer, we're now able to move USDC from the PSM on mainnet Ethereum. We move it to Base, and then we deposit in that market. And so Spark is supplying over 80% of the capital to that market. So really, it's kind of an extension of the lending that Spark does. So in a way, you can see Sky on one end and Coinbase on the other, and now the integration through the Spark liquidity layer is covering that market. Another major integration of markets that we weren't covering before was OTC crypto lending. So again, not everybody's like comfortable coming on chain onto Ethereum, especially Bitcoin users. I think for fairly obvious reasons, they may not want to wrap their Bitcoin on Ethereum. They may prefer, qualified custodian to use an exchange. There's many different reasons why people may not want to use Ethereum for lending directly. And so by integrating Maple Syrup USDC, we're able to tap into those institutional borrowers that may prefer using custodians. And so that's been an exciting new market that's been growing quite rapidly. So, the Coinbase one is like 600 million in loans. The Maple one is about 400 million in exposure now, and there's still room to grow there. And so, yeah, a lot of the focus up until now has been just covering these markets that haven't been covered before. And so, where the short term growth is going to come from is going to be continuing with this Bitcoin backed loans. Bitcoin price appreciation has been quite substantial, and we are still not covering all the demand for the institutions that is out there. And so, we're going to be continuing to focus to cover this uh, both through these OTC lending venues as well as exchange integrations on sometimes their own L2 or chain or whatever. This type of deal of exchanges exposing their users to on-chain lending is only intensifying. So we see interest from all the major exchanges here, and so we're going to be supporting this on the back end with all of them. So yeah, we are talking to all the major exchanges, institutions, and basically our coverage of the market is going to be um, we're going to be covering most of the market, which is great. So that's short-term growth. We have several things in the works that I'm not quite ready to announce yet, but fairly big like announcements that are coming, and it will be fairly soon. But yeah, so, like look out for those. But sorry, I can't really reveal too much on this call. But yeah, the team
Nice.
is working hard on a lot of different things.
Anything on the Sparkland kind of like features or new things coming, or that's a bit parked?
Yeah, Sparkland is perfect for what it is. So it's the flagship, like lowest risk lending market in the space at scale. So it's designed to be for institutions primarily. Institutions are a different type of user than what we've seen in the past. Crypto's been largely dominated by retail. Especially on the lending side, which retail is more focused on what is the highest APY possible in absolute terms, whereas institutions are like way more sophisticated actors. So they will take into account various types of risks of lending markets, and so Sparklend is geared at that more institutional lender borrower who does care about the quality of collateral, liquidity, these types of things. And so I think Sparkland, in what it is right now, is like a perfect fit for this type of user. And as we see more institutions coming on chain, Sparkland's going to be a great fit for them for doing this type of borrowing.
Nice. Cell Calls is asking if there's any update on Sky staking on Spark.
Guy staking on Spark. I'm not quite sure what that means on the website.
I'm not sure either. I don't know, Cell Calls, if you want to clarify
Yeah, I
that.
mean,
Well,
yeah, the Sky staking with SPK, you can go ahead and do that on the Sky.money website. That's live right now, if that's what you're referring
yes.
to.
Um, Jesus is asking, one of the strategies that was mentioned is to focus on being competitive in BTC-backed loans. What are the objectives in this regard, and what advantages will Spark offer compared to other options?
Yeah, I mean, what are the objectives is to deploy the balance sheet of Sky as much as we possibly can to capture the best possible risk-adjusted yield. So yeah, market coverage is the short answer to that. What is the Spark competitive advantage? Is that being a stablecoin protocol, you have access to a lot of deposits that are providing the lending side of the balance sheet. So cheaper capital than what's available in CeFi and TradFi. The loans out there are sometimes more on the order of high single digits, low double digits. DeFi capital is cheaper because it's in my view safer to do loans on chain than it is in traditional finance. It's very slow and clunky, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe the future was on chain. And the difference in doing um, collateralized loans and liquidations and stuff like that on chain is just far better, and that's why the capital is cheaper.
Nice, quite clear. Um, MKR Midcurve is asking, I don't like this question personally, but it says, I know you don't control price, but SPK just pumped 5x in a few days. Any idea why? Yeah, I don't know if you want to give it a
I
go.
don't want, I can't really talk about price.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't enjoy it. I feel that personally for every project, I don't feel that the price necessarily reflect how
Yeah.
well or not a project is
We're
doing. So
focused
that's
on
why,
building products.
yeah, 100%. I'm gonna try to understand the next question by Chris. It's saying, how is maintaining USDS peg going? I saw we're raising the difference. Any concerns? I'm not sure
I
what it
mean, the
means.
USDS
Raise.
peg is as safe as it's ever been. I think some of the
Yeah.
automation that we've put in place with the Spark liquidity layer managing the balance sheet has drastically improved
Yeah.
the guarantees of withdrawal capacity. So, I mean, and on top of that, Sky runs an extremely conservative balance sheet. Like 25% is meant to be kept in cash reserves. This is higher than it's been. This is the highest it's been basically ever in the past. The target reserve amount. So yeah, I mean, for reference, like banks usually do more like 10%. So like 25% is quite conservative. And with the automation tools where previously, if there was some sort of like liquidity crunch, it would take like a couple days to raise the interest rates. Now this is all automated. So the system will actually react in real time if there is a liquidity crunch even one that's fairly extreme, the Spark liquidity layer will automatically raise the interest rates on all the lending markets it's supplying capital to on like the next block, basically. So that reaction time is going to like drastically improve the like the confidence you can have in the USDS will maintain its peg.
Nice. Um, okay, a few questions by Jordan Brewer. Hi, appreciate your time. What are the procedures for changing the interest rate charge from Sky to the SLL? I saw it used to be 3.75%, but now it's 4.37%.
Yeah, so those numbers of the smart contract are actually not correct. The base rate being charged to Spark is currently 4.8%. And that allocator vault stability fee will be fixed, I think, in like a spell at some point in the near future. But the real accounting, which is being like settled off chain, the rate is actually 4.8%. And the Spark liquidity layer anchors itself to this rate so that the rates being charged on the broader market is some spread above that, which is the retained revenue that goes to Spark.
Nice. Second question, why has the Spark liquidity layer borrowed 5.2 billion but only allocated 4 billion?
Yeah, I mean, these are kind of interesting questions. This is so the actual amount that Spark has borrowed is like more like 4 billion. That 5 point whatever billion number is actually like it's like an accounting quirk. So 1.2 billion of the amount that is like in the vault, that's the total borrow amount, is like USDS that is backed by itself. So there's a USDS liability for 1.2 billion, but on the asset side, it's 1.2 billion USDS. So this has like no market effect. So it's just like, you could mint a trillion USDS and then, just hold it on the protocol level, not expose it to the market at all. And, that doesn't mean that the balance sheet that's deployed is $1 trillion. It's just like accounting, details basically.
Nice. And the third part of the question, let me find it. Where does the net income from Sparkland and the Spark liquidity layer accrue? I saw that Sparkland generates around 10 million a year, and prior to the interest rate change, the Spark liquidity layer generated 12 million a year. Now the SLL loses 20 million a year. Does this accrue to a Spark treasury?
Yeah, the accounting is being wrapped up now. It's not done. So there is no, other than Sparkland, which is just the reserve factor, um, the vast majority of the revenue to Spark comes from the Spark liquidity layer. And those numbers are like for the net revenue is going to be like, tens of millions per year. But like that will be put out soon. And the reason it's taking so long is that the stablecoin accounting is actually very, very, very complex. Similar to the reason that I said before, like the total debt inside the vault, and even the if you look at the total supply of USDS or whatever, it's like 1.2 billion higher than the actual number is, and all the CoinGecko and whatever, they all report the correct number. Same with the Sky.money website on the total supply page, but you have to deduct all this like USDS that's like backing itself to get the correct number, and for that same reason the accounting is not trivial either to determine what exactly Spark is making. You have to account for all the USDS that is backing itself, but in other protocols as well. There may be, um, if there's capital deployed into the Spark or Sparkland, for example, in the USDS market, some of that market in the lending market is like idle supply. So you have to discount that from the accounting. And there's like huge amounts of like very, very deep integrations into protocols where you have to do this to get the correct numbers. And that's why it's taking a while. But yeah, the numbers that are on DeFi Llama and stuff like that, the number on DeFi Llama is specifically just Sparkland. So it doesn't include accessibility rewards. It doesn't include the Spark liquidity layer. It doesn't include fees that are being generated from Morpho vaults, stuff like this. So that's all being worked on. It'll be released soon.
Mhm. Nice. A re-question by Cell. Hey Nadia, by the way, thanks for joining us. Re-question by Cell calls. Any update on Sky staking on Spark? You was mentioned in the past Sky staking would be available there because not everyone can access Sky.money.
Um, Actually, do you know about this one, Nadia? Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Yes, yes. We will be including but not a Sky staking. We will be including USDS staking to no, yeah, like USDS to farm SPK. We will start with that one.
Nice. Thanks for that. All right, another question. What's the estimated annual operational expenses for Spark by MKR
We'll have
Midcare?
that. Like the plan is to be very transparent about all this stuff. So like we'll have
Mhm.
all these numbers, including the revenue to Spark and stuff. Like it's one of our top priorities.
Nice. Um, Given the size of the potential collateral, have you looked into supporting a Spark native BTC ETH bridge?
Provincial Clutter, Spark Native BTC ETH Bridge. I am not even quite sure what this means. What is native BTC? Is that meant to be like a Bitcoin L2 or something like that? Because you can't bridge. I mean, you can only wrap Bitcoin in custodians off chain.
Mhm.
So I'm not quite sure what this means.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is. It's like some WBTC or one of these wraps where you have it, and then you, I don't know, mint a token. I don't even know if that makes too much strategic sense, but yeah,
I mean,
let
those
us
are
know if.
like you can use. We just use like the main ones. So like Coinbase BTC covered in Coinbase custody.
Um, Jordan is asking, would the SSL be charged interest on the 1.2 billion USDS that it hasn't deployed for the USDS backing itself?
It's a
Good
very
question.
detailed accounting question. No, because there's no like financial interaction with those types of with that loan. It's like again, it's just an accounting quirk. So
Yeah,
Sky will settle out the amount that Spark's paying in the smart contracts will just be settled out as part of the off-chain settlement program.
yeah. I guess Jordan, this is a bit like when you have, I don't know, I guess it's similar to a line of credit. So the limit is like how much you would be able to kind of like allocate, and then how much you actually allocate is the where you would actually be paying interest on. But it's a good question.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way to look at it. It's more like a debt ceiling kind of in a way.
Yeah,
But
pre-minted.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean these are just like accounting details and like they exist at the smart contract level. And you know, if you want to actually look at the real accounting, this should be no more interesting than like VAT dot die or like looking at some particular parameter in a smart contract.
yeah, absolutely. Jesus is asking, would it be easy to migrate to Aave v4?
Well, I mean we'll probably just support Aave V4 when they go live. Aave's a great partner, and I think V4 is going to be huge success. So we can just plug them into the Spark liquidity layer. And a lot of the nice part about like modern crypto is that they all use standard interfaces. So onboarding a new protocol is quite straightforward.
Nice.
And I guess actually maybe the underlying question is, are we migrating Sparkland to Aave V4? No, there's no plans to do that. Sparkland for what it does um, works quite well.
Yeah, makes sense. I haven't checked the details yet into the advantages of V4 versus V3, but yeah, I don't know if that we're missing any huge feature there.
Yeah, I mean, like feature set coverage is important, but like we get a lot of this through lending through some of the newer like lending infrastructure that's emerged, like Morpho, for example.
Yeah, makes sense. Um, the debt ceiling analogy is helpful, and yeah, I'm a CPA. Haha. Is there a Spark treasury? I'm not sure what he
Uh,
means by that.
yeah, I mean, there is equity that exists within the Spark protocol that is primarily I mean, it's in a couple of smart contracts. There's the Spark proxy, but also just the difference in the value of the assets that are deployed versus the debt owed to Sky. there's a differential there that's also equity that's included in the protocol, as well as actually, I mean, again, I think this gets into why the accounting is not trivial. Like Sparkland has its own collector contracts for the Sparkland treasury, as well as there are fees that come in through the like the Morpho vaults, for example. So like there's a number of places where this accumulates, but yeah, primarily it's in the Spark proxy that is the equity treasury, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm not seeing any more questions. So yeah, thank you everyone. I don't know, Nadia, if you have anything to add regarding plans for the future in terms of short term. I think that Sam covered most of it, both for Sparkland and all the integrations with the real world assets. You're good.
I'm sure he talked about the roadmap and everything we're doing. And I'm pretty sure he also mentioned that we are super happy about been working on the product again and the roadmap because we have a lot of things we want to do. We have like an incredible team, and like we right now, like we have like all the structure and everything in place to start delivering. So yeah, I think this year is going to be very good for Spark in terms of adoption and product besides the token value.
So MKR Midcurve is asking, what are you most excited about until the end of the year?
Yeah, as I said, there's like lots of I can't mention. There's like a lot of big things that are coming. We will be announcing
yeah.
soon. Yeah, soon.
Perfect.
But yeah, stand by for that. I can't say it on this call.
Nice. And if any partner or anyone wants to reach out, what's the best way of doing so?
Yeah, I mean, just like ping me directly. I try to answer pretty much everybody on Twitter, Telegram.
Nice. I think it's at Hexanaut also on Twitter, right?
Yep.
Nice. Anyway, or spark.fi. But yeah, thank you to the Spark team for being here with us. It's been quite helpful. And yeah, thanks again for your time. Thank you everyone
Of
for the
course. Thanks for
questions.
having us.
Nice. Now we'll move to the next section where we actually get Felipe from Viridian replacing Rajiv today. Yeah, thank you, Felipe, for being here and for sharing the weather report with us.
Yeah, it's not like I have a choice, do I? Yeah, cool. So good evening, everyone. This is Felipe from the Vidian Advisor. And the last time we did an update like this, it was at the end of the half year. So we thought it would be good to show the month of July today. So let's get into it. The first thing that we wanted to call out is the rise of the Ethena rate in the last 10 days over the SSR, right? And if we go and look into it, it's right now it's sitting at around twice the rates, twice SOFR. So we should expect mercenary capital to flow out of the SSR since we are so close to the risk-free rate, and that's exactly what we've seen in the past few days. Ethena has been quite rapidly growing, really coinciding with this rise in the rates that they are providing. Also, something else that's interesting to call out is the AVE offering for rates. Even though the rates are below the SOFRs or stable secured overnight financing rates, they've been experiencing growth throughout the month. Another thing that maybe is worth a look is at Maple's Syrup USDC offering, and they've been quite stable at around $700 million. Moving on, to Sky, we've got USDS and SUSDS, of course, and over this period we've seen a decline in the USDS that's in the market. We've come down 500 million since the start of the month, down from 3.8 billion to 3.3. And most of that decline has come from SUSDS. But some callouts here, some interesting ones, is that Morpho has ticked up in the past month. It has grown 5 times since the low of 12 million on the 7th of July, up to almost 70 million on the 17th. And they seem to have been latching on to that. As for traction on L2s, it's kind of mixed. We've seen that hover around the 4 to 5 million mark. And one other thing is Pendle, which we've seen declining on about 30% since the start of the month. Now sitting at around 200 million. For Sky Savings, we see that, as expected, this what we call mercenary capital, so yield-sensitive players on the market, explains why the SUSDS demand is down this month. As the FINA rate comes up over our offering, they tend to switch. The biggest ones here are Maple itself, Ifina, who has brought down their exposure to SUSDS, and also what we call Whales, who have been lagging behind for a bit. This amounts to around 500 million down on the month, but on the flip side, if we take them out, Whales, we see that the SUSDS demand is quite stable throughout the month at around 1.1 billion. If we take a look at token rewards, we see something that's really interesting, which might explain some of the downturns on SUSDS, which is the SPK farm has been going up recently. And it also looks like some Sky farmers have moved over to farm SPK. We also see crypto funds aggressively investing into the SPK farm over the past few days, and now their allocation is sitting at around 200 million. For Ifina, the story is quite different to ours. They've been, since the rate was adjusted, they've seen substantial growth. They've grown around 700 million over this time period. And the biggest contributor by far has been the Spark allocation for Ifina, which has grown to around 250 million on both sides of the Ifina token, right? There's not much to say about Beetle since it's just offering the secure overnight financing rate. So, as expected, people have moved on from it. For Pendle, we see the same trajectory for Ifina. Due to their yield, they've been accelerating their growth on Pendle to the tune of 400 million over this time period. And well, to end on a high note, talking about USDS borrowing demand, Spark continues to widen the gap over Aave in this segment, starting at like three times the borrowing demand of Aave at the start of the month, and now growing to around 7-8 times the borrowing demand that Aave has for USDS. So yeah, that's the weather forecast for this week and for the month of July.
Nice.
As always,
Thank
you can have a look at this. You can have a look at these dashboards on our Doom profile.
Yes. Thank you very much, Felipe. I really appreciate it. I don't see any questions, so hopefully that's good news. Means that it was very clear, and that the
I hope
markets are
so.
also as as predictable as anyone can predict
Yeah.
them. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. Hopefully you liked the session we had with Spark. As always, we are in Discord and at forum.sky.money. And if you have any questions or any comments, let us know. We try to be nice sometimes. But yeah, thanks everyone. Have a nice week and see you soon.